Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to another Nudelberg Daily Huddle. Excited to be here with you guys and excited for it to be just the two of us, Lori, on this special Halloween Monday morning.
I know, me too. Usually we've got at least another one or two people in the huddle, so I'm looking forward to it. I love my Monday mornings now.
Yeah, we love having you as a part of the show, and it's a great way to kick off the week. Do you have any Halloween plans today?
Well, we are having a big party over at JA, so I'll be in my Minnie Mouse Clubhouse outfit. So yeah, we like to have some fun. My staff expects that I'm going to wear a wig every Halloween, so I have a collection of wigs, so I'll wear one.
So I gotta know, like, are you a big Halloween person? So this was your initiative for JA, or is this sort of like hey, we got to do something for Halloween for the kids, for the community? How did it come about?
No, actually, my team is really into it. We love all this kind of stuff, so I go with the flow. Listen, I mean, I always dress up with my kids, always.
Yeah,
and I always kind of coordinated. So, and with Patrick, he still dresses up. So.
It'll be interesting for me because I was a big Halloween fan growing up, obviously, because you love the candy. And then in college, I took it pretty serious. Like I had some great costumes that I would make, on my own when I was in college, and then got away from it as you get into your career and you get busy and you get working or whatever. So it'll be interesting to see as Jules gets older to see whether or not I pick up the
I'm betting that I see you and Gabby in some matching outfit with Jules.
Well, we were there was supposed to be a Halloween party this weekend that we were going to go to, but it ended up getting moved to tonight, and there's just too much happening for us to be able to make it tonight. But we were going to go as the Roys from Secession, and we were going to make Jules Logan Roy. We were going to make have a little belly and a suit with white hair. And then Gabby and I and Jake were gonna go as the siblings. She was gonna be Shiv, I was gonna be Kendall, Jake was gonna be Roman. So that idea got scratched for this year, but maybe next year.
That's good. I told you, my money's on next year for sure.
Well, it's good to see everybody rolling into the huddle this morning. Thank you, Jim Barrett, for talking about moving over to the YouTube channel for those of you that struggle with LinkedIn. It's great to see you here this morning, Joy Linsky, Chris Pollock. Great video this morning about planes, trains, and automobiles. We've got a show all about Halloween, all about communication and great leadership. But before we do any of that, we've got to wake up. So let's go.
Wake up, everybody. Get up, get up, get up, get up. Wake up. Come on. Wake up, everybody. Teach a new way. Maybe then they'll listen what you have to say. Wake up, everybody. No more sleeping in bed. No more about the thinking. Time for thinking ahead. Come on.
So good morning, and we have to do some kind of weekend wrap up before we get going with the show. That's our normal Monday routine. Lori, what did you do this weekend? What was the highlight of your weekend?
Oh, you know what? Just smelling the ocean air over in Marco.
Headed over to Marco again this weekend. Is that every weekend that you do that?
No, we try to go 2 weekends a month.
Okay.
But Mike has not seen his sister in quite a while and her husband. So they came over. And it was really nice to spend time with them again. It'd been many years. So, but it's just so relaxing. We were sitting out in the morning, coffee, watching the ocean, walking on the beach. It's different, right? It's just a different feeling than when I'm home.
So
But
we had a very different vibe to our weekend. We were fortunate Friday night. Thank you to Steve Nudelberg, who could not end up making the concert. We ended up being able to go see Stevie Nicks in West Palm, which was absolutely phenomenal. She rocked it. I mean, for her to be 74 and sound the way she did, and to be moving around the stage and dancing. I mean, if you would have told me she was 60, I would have believed it, because the energy of the show was just absolutely phenomenal. And obviously she had great music. And then Saturday we got to head over to the boat show, and unfortunately did not get to run into Kitty in person because there was horrible service and it was impossible to be able to communicate with anybody. But we got to get around the boat show, see some people, and catch up. And obviously, when the boat show was here, it's a great opportunity to
it
go
looked like
network
a great time from some of the posts I saw for the boat show.
So it had been a while. So I've been to the boat show a few times in West Palm, which is a great event. It had been a long time since I had been to the one in Fort Lauderdale, and I was blown away by the parking situation. Like, if you wanted to park anywhere remotely near the beach, it was $100 or more. Like, there was the Bahia Mar was charging $200 for the valet. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
That was the problem the last time I went, and it was years ago. I can't remember how far I walked.
But what they did do a good job of was having the rideshare drop-offs right there. So, like, for anybody next year who wants to go, great opportunity to go and just take an Uber down there, take a Lyft down there, whatever. They drop you off, and it's a no-brainer. So
yeah,
but it was great. It's a great opportunity. Shout out to the boat show and everybody there. James Maitland I ran into, Kitty and her whole crew. The Denison Yacht crew was all over that event. So, and obviously Bob does a ton for the community. So great stuff. But today is Halloween. So we're going to have some fun with a Halloween conversation. I got to ask you, Lori, though, of all of your Halloween years, is there a costume in your mind that stands out as your favorite costume of all time?
I think I would have to say, so I used to make all my kids' outfits. And that was when I had a lot more time on my hands as a stay-at-home mom. And I think the one year that I really enjoyed was the Flintstones. And so I was Wilma, of course.
Yeah.
With the bone so it was just, there was just so much creativity to it, and it just took you back to a different time, right?
Yeah.
So I think that would have to be one of my favorites.
My mom was the same way. My mom was super into making our costumes together. Like, there was one year that Jim, he was Indiana Jones. My mom was like some kind of zombie woman. She made me into a scary clown, and James was a skeleton, and she did everybody's face paint. Like, she put the full beard or like the stubble beard on Jim. She did a great job with it. But obviously, the best part about Halloween, or in my opinion, the best part of Halloween, which I told Gabby last night, like, we're going to have to ration it, is the candy, right? And so I think everybody looks forward to the sugar rush. And I love, the topics of America's favorite candy or your favorite candy. Lori, what's your favorite candy? Do you have one that is just head and shoulders above all the others that you look forward to snacking on?
Yeah, I'd have to say Almond Joy. And by the way, I didn't see candy corn on that map, which is interesting because that's such a typical Halloween.
I feel like it's the filler candy,
I don't know what it is, but I can't stand it personally, anything like that. But the Almond Joys are definitely my favorite.
It is Almond Joy.
How about you?
The coconut, the almond. I'm a Snickers guy. Like, I can't get away from a Snickers. And I had this conversation last night with Gabby as we were, taking all of the, and I would love, like, Jen Lederer comes in with Twix for the win. Amanda says Snickers and Reese's. Jonathan Aaron says Milky Way. I'm going to put an asterisk next to Jonathan Aaron's. Like, the Midnight Milky Way is the best one.
Actually, a frozen Milky Way.
Well, same thing with the Snickers, right? Yeah. Like, that was Grandpa Stan, my dad's dad, the go-to all the time, had bite-sized Snickers in the freezer. So it didn't matter what the meal was. It didn't matter whether we were celebrating with cake or whatever. I knew that before I was going home, there was a frozen Snickers coming out of the freezer, and we were going to eat a frozen Snickers together. So Joy Linsky says Sour Patch Kids. Yeah. So the sweet tooth will be out and in full effect today. But I think Shay, what do we have for the stats about the candies? Do we have a graphic for that shows us what people's favorites are?
No.
You don't? Okay, but we do have most. I believe that we have the most popular candy by state. A picture. Is that correct?
Yeah, we saw
I
that.
see it in the huddle. Is that the first one that we popped up there? Shay,
Yep.
show it to me again. So I think Florida is that a Snickers bar that Florida's representing?
I don't know what that is. Just a bunch of chocolate for sure.
But Georgia comes in with the Sour Patch Kids. South Carolina comes in with a Butterfinger, which a Butterfinger is great. And before we move on from the candy conversation, Shay, you can pull that down now. I will tell you that my college roommate, Danny Carlisle, used to make a Butterfinger pie that was out of this world. And it would be in the freezer, and we would come home after a full night of activities. And you knew that, like, you'd wake up the next morning and there'd be like just an empty tin on the counter because the Butterfinger pie was absolutely absurd.
You know, it's funny how memories, right? So of course, I remember all the candy, and I remember being a small kid and then being an adult. In between that teen years, I really don't remember the candy too much or costumes, but I do remember socks filled with chalk. Right?
Yeah.
Or shaving cream, right? Those are the things I remember from my teen Halloween years, right?
Yep.
Poor neighbors, they got the brunt of it, but we didn't do eggs too much.
As my dad says, the eggs, sure. Like there were plenty. I mean, the toilet paper. To me, it was you walked around with the toilet paper and you were getting people's trees. But the Halloween that stands out the most in my mind as a kid was the Halloween that I decided to go as a hockey player. The thing I didn't know, or the thing I should have prepared better for, was I wasn't really great at rollerblading yet. I had just picked up the habit, or I just picked up the activity, and I hadn't gotten really good at it yet. And so rollerblading from house to house, I was up and down like a million times. I must have been like 11 or 12 years old. And I was just grinding away that night to get to all the houses because I was just a very, very poor rollerblader.
So the trick to that is, like, I went as an ice skater one year because I really did ice skate. And you wore them, you tied them together and you hung them over your shoulder and you put on shoes and you walk around and get your candy. Come on,
right? Right. No, the new age for me was, the rollerblading, which did not go well. But have some great morning motivational music for you guys. It's Halloween. Impossible not to celebrate Halloween without this song and this video. When we come back, we're going to talk about some leadership personality traits, which I know, Laura, you're going to love this conversation.
I love it.
Save you from the beast about to strike. You know it's dead. Yeah, night. You're fighting for your life inside up. Thriller, thriller, thriller night. 'Cause I can feel you more than any good would ever dare try. So let me hold you tight and share up together, together.
So before we move on to the the leadership conversation, we're always talking about 1% better. We're always talking about ways to train to be great. And so that goes for some of the greatest Halloween or scary movie characters as well. Jake did a great job of finding this video on how Michael Myers got himself to be the all-time greatest scary movie character of all time. Shay, show me the video.
My name is Michael Audrey Myers, and I'm one of the greatest ever. Every morning I wake up, 2 raw eggs, in the gym, 2-3 hours, sauna, cardio, training, weightlifting. I do it all. I cut off all distractions. Look right here. Sent to me about 4 or 5 minutes ago before the interview. Look at it right here. Look. She talked about to come to Miami, Annabelle. Talk about coming to Miami. Left her on red. I ain't coming to Miami. I'm working. Everybody always asks me, how do you get there? When they see you, they're running across the building. They're running down the stairs. They're running across the parking garage. They're in their car. They think they're safe. You're already there. How do you do that? Work ethic. Nobody working like me. Nobody. Pennywise talk about, I'm big time. You living in the sewer. My condo $4,800 a month. You're not moving like me. You know what I'm saying? You heard the four greats: Michael Jordan, Michael Jackson, Michael Phelps, Michael Myers. That's me. I'm one of the big dogs.
Oh, classic. Absolutely fantastic video. So the greatness and then the fundamentals of greatness go on to just any aspect of life, and obviously any character. Great stuff. Really funny.
I'm not a Halloween scary movie. I'm not a thriller movie person. So, I mean, I know who he is, but I can't tell you any of the scary Halloween.
Really? So, like, I think that was Jamie Curtis's like big break. Like, that was the movie that put her on the scene. And obviously, she went on to do a ton of other stuff. But I agree with you. And like, I don't even enjoy. I had this conversation with Jake and Gabby the other day. I don't even enjoy like scary commercials. Like when the preview or when like the teaser for the scary movie that's coming out, I don't even watch it. I'm like, I'm out. I'm not interested. Like at some point during my teenage years, I was like, I just don't enjoy this feeling. I don't enjoy sitting on the edge of my seat. I don't enjoy being scared. And as a kid growing up, like I remember watching like The Omen and watching, The Exorcist and like movies that were very, very scary. So like not for me at all.
I think it was The Exorcist actually that cured me from watching those movies.
And I don't know. I feel like they got kind of corny as I got older, like those Saw movies. They just got like really gory and they weren't really good plot lines or anything like that anymore. So I as well am not a scary movie person.
Good. All right. So we agree on that.
So I love it. And by the way, Jonathan Aaron's comment up there about being a box of popcorn. He goes, one year I went as a popcorn box. It was too wide to go through door frames and I could not bend down to pick up anything. It was very like classic story. I love everybody sharing the stories of the Halloweens that didn't go as planned, such as my rollerblading incident. But I'm excited to get into this leadership conversation. So I think it was Inc. that put out these professionality traits of highly effective leaders. And I'm sure you got the opportunity to look at it. What are some of your thoughts? We can go through the list and look at them all, but I'm interested to just get your take on the way that they put them all together.
I thought they did a really good job. And I thought they touched on, most lists talk about things that you need to have, right? You need to be tenacious or resilient or flexible, and right. So those are the lists you usually, read about. I thought this was done well. I thought it was a little bit different in the way they put it together, and I could relate to some of it for sure.
So I'm gonna go through all 7 real quick and list them out so everybody has the opportunity to hear what they are, and then we can go back and forth and dig in on the ones that we really want to talk about. But the first one was professional leaders do the right thing. They are role models. They are self-aware. They communicate clearly and listen actively. They treat everybody with respect. They avoid gossip and they stay humble, which I thought were all really, really good professionality traits that they listed. Which one do you think is the most important of the 7 that they talked about?
Your Steve will probably know which one I would pick. I think I would pick self-aware.
Bingo. So would I.
Yeah.
Why? Why do you pick self-aware?
Because I think you can fix any of the other things if you're self-aware, right? I can be a better role model if I'm aware of what I'm doing wrong or what I'm not doing well, right? I can be a better, I can do the right thing if I'm aware that I'm doing the wrong thing, right?
Right.
So for me, that is that's at the top of the list as far as traits for effective leaders.
So I agree with you 1,000%. Another one that stuck out to me, I'm not going to say that this was the second most important on the list, but I do believe that this one is really high up there. Treats everybody with respect. And now I believe that comes from something else, which is the discipline of emotion and the discipline to control their responses, because treating everybody with respect would mean that you have the capabilities to maneuver around really tough situations and maneuver around, things that may happen that may be triggering, or that may be really high end anxiety, or could be anything that happens. I go back to a lot of the people that I worked with that were incapable of doing that. Guys who I respected. I mean, Brian Polian was one of my favorite coaches to work with, but he was an absolute maniac on Saturday. He would lose his mind with the officials. Never lost his temper with a kid, never lost his temper with a coach, was always really good inside the organization. But for some reason on Saturdays, he was incapable of communicating properly with the officials, and it ended up costing us. Costed us with the relationship with them, costed us with the kids and the way they would respond to scenarios on the field on Saturdays. So I think that discipline of being able to manage how you respond and treat everybody with respect, regardless of situation or circumstance, is really important.
Yeah. I think the other one, if I had to go with number 2, I think I would probably go to the role model one. And our chief operating officer said to me the other day, she said, do you realize the impact that your approval or disapproval has on our team?
Yep.
And not in a negative way, right? Approval or disapproval. But when I, leave someone a note that thanks them for something, whether it's something I observed or something they achieved, or you see that note, it's hanging up there for years, right? As long as they're there.
Yep.
When I tell them that I might be disappointed, or how could we have handled this differently? So I think, and it probably just has to do with the title, right? You want to please your parents, you want to please the boss, right? Or the CEO. And so I'm very aware, again, going back to self-awareness, I'm very aware that my words to the team, and I never realized it until the last couple of years, how powerful it really was. And when I don't, by the way, what's equally as powerful is when I don't say something to someone, right?
Yep.
Because they're like, well, why did you thank them and recognize them? But the more people you have, the harder it gets to keep track of, all of that,
Yep.
and see as much as I used to see when we were smaller. So I think that's the other one I would say.
I love it. I'm gonna go to the comments here for a second, because Amanda talks about experience. She says, I feel like you learn to treat everybody with respect by experience. I'm gonna disagree there. And I think it's more having perspective. And yes, experience could give you perspective, but also remembering that as a leader, it's your responsibility to be playing the long game. And while you need to create sense of urgency in the now and in the present, you always have to keep everybody in the perspective of, hey, it's not going to end today, right? We're doing this to stay in business for forever. We're doing this to constantly and continually be able to have the opportunity to do what we do. So yes, this is very important right now, but ultimately this is only one moment and hopefully a lifetime of us doing this together. So changing that mindset of, yes, I need the experience, but also it's just having the perspective of, yes, it's important right now, but remember that you're playing the long game. And as Simon Sinek would tell you, the long game in business is the infinite game. It's not in this short little window of your quota in this quarter or the year or whatever, or whatever the time frame may be.
Yeah. And listen, it's like anything else. The longer you play a sport, that I said that word just for Jen, by the way.
Yep.
The longer you play a sport, the more experienced you become, right?
Yep.
The better you become at it, because you continue to practice, hopefully, right? It's the same thing with leadership. I wasn't able to do what I can do today. Wasn't able to do that when I first started out managing people, right? And leading people. You learn as you go, you become more patient, you become more aware of yourself, right?
Yep.
And how you influence other people. So I think, again, I go back to, and I think I said this on one of our other shows, people expect because you have a title for you to have those 7 things mastered.
Yep.
And when you're a new leader, right, sometimes when we report to a newer leader, we need to give them some grace too and give them a chance, right? And learn together how to lead and
Ah.
how to follow, right?
And so, and I want to go to Jen's comment because she was talking about managing anxiety comes with learning how to manage your nervous system. Unfortunately, most people aren't taught those tools or not even taught to recognize what's happening when you get that anxiety, when you get those emotions, and to push everybody or remind everybody that part of teaching the toolbox of communication is recognizing and developing that self-awareness. And Jen is doing a free workshop on Thursday at 1:00, which I know I will be there for. So super excited about that. Excited for hopefully everybody in the huddle to be able to join on Thursday at 1:00. Shay will throw the link in the comments. Jen will throw the link in the comments for you guys to be able to make sure you get that on your calendar and join it. And we have one more surprise before we end the show for everybody to say happy Halloween. There he is, Jules himself in his elephant costume. So we are excited to trick or treat tonight as a family. Thank you, Lori, for a great start to the week. Absolutely happy Halloween to everyone.
Yeah.
Say happy Halloween.
Say happy Halloween.
Trick or treat.
Eat lots of candy.
You guys have a great Monday. We'll see you tomorrow for another Nudelberg Daily Huddle. Let's get on the ball. Let's get down to business.
Thanks, Mark.
Mom,
Thanks,
please don't worry about me. I'm about to let my heart speak. My friends keep telling me to leave this. So let's get down to business. Let's get down to business. Give you one more night.